Kemi stood on the big stage in her red high heels, cameras flashing, music thumping in the background. It was a moment, the moment she had worked for all her life. The award plaque read Best Media Personality of the Year. As she gave her acceptance speech, smiling confidently, she said something that made everyone clap and laugh. Some of us came from nothing. My mother, she used to walk barefoot, selling herbs in the sun like a mad woman. But look at me now. The crowd cheered, but far away in the village of Aiyetoro, her mother, Mama Ronke, heard those words from an old TV in the neighbor's shop, and her hands began to shake. She didn't cry, she didn't curse, she just whispered. She has forgotten who forced the spirit for her. She has forgotten who fed her blood to save her life. That night, in the city, Kemi woke up, gasping for breath. The air felt heavy. Her mirror cracked on its own. Her phone screen turned black. And from the corner of her room, something whispered, "You mocked your roots. Now let the roots speak." That morning, Kemi tried to laugh off the strange dream. "Maybe I'm just stressed," she said, rubbing her eyes as she stared into a lavish bathroom. But something felt off. Her reflection in the mirror looked delayed, like it was watching her too closely. She showered quickly and stepped out, only to find a long dried palm leaf on her clean white bedsheet. She screamed and rushed to call the cleaner, but as soon as the girl entered, the leaf had vanished. "Auntie, there is nothing here," the girl said, looking confused. "But I saw it. It was on the bed," Kemi shouted, her voice rising. "Maybe it is stress," the cleaner replied, backing away slowly. Later that day, during a live TV recording, Kemi froze mid-sentence. She could see a shadow walking behind her, but when she turned, no one was there. The cameras were still rolling. Viewers laughed online, calling it a glitch or celebrity drama, but Kemi wasn't laughing. That night, she received a gift package from a luxury brand she had recently signed with. Inside was a fancy hair product wrapped in gold ribbon. The scent was sweet, too sweet. She applied it to her hair, smiling at herself in the mirror. But as the minutes passed, her scalp began to burn, then itch, then sting. When she ran to the mirror, she let out a scream. Her long shiny hair had begun to fall off in clumps. She reached for her phone to call her stylist, but the screen was flickering again, this time showing her mother's face for a second before going black. The next morning, Kemi wore a wig and sunglasses to cover the damage. Her assistant tried to speak to her, but Kemi snapped at everyone. "Don't ask me what's wrong. Just do your job," she yelled. But deep down, something was sitting at her. That night, as she lay in bed, she heard it again. A whisper, not from the room, not from her phone, from inside her own chest. "You left her behind. You called her mad. You mocked the woman who fed the spirit your name." Her heart raced. She stood up and ran to her wardrobe. As she opened it, a live tortoise dropped out and landed on her feet. She screamed and stumbled back, but when her housekeeper rushed in, there was nothing there, not even the smell. Now Kemi knew this was not stress, this was not a dream. Something ancient had woken up, something that knew her real name. Kemi didn't go to work the next day. She stayed locked inside her Lekki apartment, pacing from room to room. "No one must hear this," she whispered to herself. "I'm not mad, I just need help." But she didn't call her mother, not even once. Instead, she called Pastor Emeka, the same man who had once prayed for celebrities when they had spiritual attacks. "It's demonic," the pastor said confidently over the phone. "Bring olive oil and wear white." That evening, Pastor Emeka arrived. He sprinkled oil in every corner of her house, speaking in tongues, shaking, sweating. Kemi felt a little relief, but as the pastor was packing up to leave, something happened. All the lights went out. A big screen TV switched on by itself, showing only static. Then, clear as day, a voice came through the speakers, a woman's voice, old, raspy, familiar. You can't pray me away. You can't fast me away. You must return. The pastor dropped his Bible and ran out of the house without looking back. That night, Kemi couldn't sleep. Her body was shaking, her scalp was raw, and for the first time in her adult life, she cried. Not tears of stress, but tears of deep, helpless fear. She took out her phone and typed "Mom," then paused. She couldn't bring herself to type more, so she deleted it. Instead, she booked a flight to Port Harcourt, where a traditional spiritualist had been recommended by a fellow celebrity. Their shrine was deep inside a mangrove village. Their hair smelled like old wine and seaweed. The spiritualist, a dark tall man with beads around his waist, looked at Kemi for a long time. Then he shook his head and said, "You are not the one they want, but you are the one that broke the agreement." "What agreement?" Kemi asked, frustrated. "Your mother gave them something long ago. In return, they spared you. Now, you've disrespected her and mocked what you don't understand." Kemi's eyes widened. Wait, what did she give them? Her blood, her youth, her future. The spiritualist turned away. "If you want peace," he said, "you must go back home to her and kneel." But Kemi couldn't believe it. All this because I insulted her on TV, because I said she used to walk barefoot. The man looked at her with pity. "You didn't just insult her, child. You mocked a sacrifice." Kemi sat at the back of the rickety village bus, head low, scarf covering her face. She hadn't been home in 9 years. Even when her uncle died, she sent money but didn't attend the burial. Her excuse had always been the same: "I'm too busy." Now she was back, not for a celebration, not for a TV show, but because the walls of her world were closing in. As the bus entered Aiyetoro village, children ran beside it, barefoot. Goats crossed lazily, and old women sold palm oil under umbrellas made from torn fabric. She felt a strange shame crawl up her neck. When she reached the gate of the compound, her heart pounded. She knocked, softly at first. No answer. She knocked again, louder this time. Still silence. Then she added, the familiar shuffle of slippers. The wooden door opened slowly, and there she was, Mama Ronke, the same woman she once called bush and embarrassing. Her back was more bent now, her wrapper faded, but her eyes, they were sharp, too sharp. They locked eyes for a long moment. Kemi forced a shaky smile. "Mama, I came to see you." Mama Ronke didn't respond. She just turned and walked back inside, leaving the door open. Kemi stepped in slowly, her heels clacking on the cement floor that still had cracks from her teenage years. She sat on the low stool and waited. Mama Ronke was cooking with firewood in the backyard. She didn't even look in Kemi's direction. "I watched your interview," Mama said finally, her back still turned. "You said I used to walk barefoot like a mad woman." Kemi swallowed hard. "Mama, I didn't mean it like that." Still no eye contact. "You forgot when I sat under rain just to sell herbs to pay your school fees? When I burnt my skin kneeling at the shrine to protect your life? Or when I bled from the waist down after making the sacrifice to keep the spirit from dragging your soul?" Kemi's lips trembled. You never told me. You never asked." Then Mama turned. Her eyes were filled with pain, but not tears. "You wore wigs and fake lashes and forgot that it was bitter leaf and charcoal that raised you." "Mama, I'm sorry," Kemi whispered. "Things have been happening, strange things. I'm not myself." Mama raised her hand. "You don't need to explain. They already told me. They came to me the night you used my name to collect applause." Kemi fell to her knees. "Mama, please help me. I don't know what to do again. I've tried everything." Mama looked at her for a long time, then said, "There is one last thing left, but you must humble yourself completely." "Anything," Kemi said quickly. "I will do anything." Mama pointed to the bitter leaf tree behind the house. "Strip off your wig. Remove your shoes. Carry that calabash. Walk around the village with me. just like I used to. And when the people laugh, don't hide your face. Mama, you said I was mad, didn't you? Now, let's see if you can walk in madness too. Kemi's heart sank. Walk barefoot around the whole village with her bad patches, a calabash in hand, and her mother by her side. It sounded like shame, it sounded like madness, but it was the only way. She looked into her mother's eyes. There was no anger in them, only truth. So, slowly, Kemi removed her wig. What was left of her once famous hair was patchy and thin. Her scalp bore the signs of damage, burns, sores, peeling skin. She took off her heels. The rough sand under her feet beat like gravel. Hold this, Mama Ronke said, placing a brown calabash filled with leaves and white chalk into her daughter's trembling hands. What's inside? Kemi whispered. Protection, cleansing, submission. Mama replied without looking at her, and then they began. As they walked, some villagers stared, others chuckled and whispered, "Is that not the TV girl? Ah, see how she's following her mad mother. Maybe her juju backfired." Kemi wanted to run, but her mother's pace never changed. Head high, steps firm, unbothered. They passed the village square, the old market, the stream where Mama Ronke used to fetch water. Everywhere they went, their hair grew heavier, as though something unseen was watching. Then Mama stopped suddenly. "Here, this is the spot." It was the old Iroko tree at the edge of the village, the same one everyone avoided. Rumor had it that the tree spoke in dreams. Pour the water from the calabash on the root, Mama instructed, and say these words exactly. Kemi obeyed. She knelt and poured the water carefully, whispering the words Mama taught her. "Spirit of the land, I mocked the vessel that carried me. I ridiculed the voice that spoke for me in silence. I broke the chain of honor. Now I return. I submit." As the last drop touched the earth, a sudden gust of wind blew through the tree, bending its branches violently. The sky darkened, even though it was midday. Then the tree moaned, a deep haunting sound. Kemi screamed. Clutching her chest, her body began to shake violently. "Mama, it's pulling me." "Don't run," Mama shouted. "Stand and let it pass through you." And then silence, sudden, thick, heavy. Kemi fell backward, her body still. Mama rushed to her, held her head in her lap. "You are free now," she whispered, "but freedom comes with memory." When Kemi opened her eyes, tears poured without stopping. But this time, they were not tears of fear. They were tears of recognition, of understanding, of humility. "Mama, I saw everything, the sacrifices, the blood, the day you cut your hand to save me, the dreams you fought off for me. I saw everything." Mama didn't answer. She just rocked her daughter gently, like she was a child again. Kemi stayed in Aiyetoro for 2 weeks after the cleansing. No makeup, no cameras, no wigs, just wrappers, firewood, and early morning water from the stream. For the first time in years, she washed her mother's feet, swept the compound, pounded yam by hand, and listened, truly listened, to the old stories Mama Ronke used to tell. She had never known her mother was once a brilliant herbalist, that men from 5 villages used to come to her for healing, until one day a jealous rival placed a curse that silenced her forever in the eyes of the world. "I didn't go mad," Mama said quietly. "I just stopped speaking the way the world understood." And that's when Kemi wept the most, because she realized what she had done, using her mother's pain as a punchline to boost her fame. When it was finally time to return to Lagos, Mama Ronke handed her a small leather pouch. "Keep this with you. Inside is the bark of the tree that had your apology. It will remind you to honor your roots." Kemi hugged her mother so tightly. She didn't want to let go. "Mama, please come with me," she pleaded. Mama smiled. "No need. I'm strong where I am. But from today, walk with sense, not pride." Back in Lagos, Kemi did something no one expected. She went on her biggest show, barefaced, no wig, no filters. She told her story. Not the glossy fake one, the real one. About how her mother sold herbs in the sun, how she bled to protect her, how she was mocked and misjudged, how Kemi nearly lost everything because she thought modern life meant disrespecting the past. Women cried, mothers called in, even celebrities reached out to say thank you for speaking truth. Kemi launched a foundation in her mother's name, the Ronke Root Project, giving scholarships to daughters of market women and old village women labeled mad. A year later, on her birthday, Kemi was hosting a high-profile gala, flashing lights, laughter, powerful guests. Then she raised her glass and said, I used to think my mother was embarrassing. I used to think her cracked feet and rapper meant she had nothing to offer. Now I know her silence carried more power than my loudest applause. To every daughter listening tonight, before you say your mother is old and useless, go and learn her story.